All right, this is the news portion for our quick lines for, what is this, January 8th, 2026. So let's have a look at what's going on in the news. First, we start with some good news. Bose decides to open source the SoundTouch home theater smart speakers. I believe that Louis Rossmann had some issue with Bose because they had announced that they were putting an end to the smart speakers, and so at least some of these smart speakers, and so your smart speakers would simply stop working. You could still plug in a device to it. You could plug in the auxiliary, the HDMI, or use Bluetooth, but you could no longer use the Wi-Fi based features or the app. And of course, this caused a problem because some of these speakers are still working just fine. And so with people are now losing functionality that they paid, in many cases, a premium on the speakers to be able to use. And after apparently amount of backlash, they have actually decided that they're going to push out a couple of updates. The first update allows them to open up the developer APIs, enabling developers to be able to work on things. And then the second thing they're going to do is they're going to open source the code back in May, or forward on in May of this year. So we're going to get a chance to open up the APIs so developers have a chance to work on some apps, and then they're going to open source the individual code that they had. So this is actually good news in the scope of smart tech that people buy. Of course, better to just not buy smart tech, but there you go. For people that want it. And then in theory, this means that these Bose speakers will potentially show up on Home Assistant sometime in the near future. So without the app, of course, the users would no longer be able to integrate the device with various music services like Spotify, or have different devices play the same audio simultaneously. But they said that they announced that AirPlay and Spotify Connect will still work after end of life, expanding the wireless capabilities that people can still access. On May 26th, the app will update to a version that supports the function that can operate locally without the cloud, and no action will be required on your part. Opening the app will automatically apply the update. And so now this actually means that Bose is giving us speakers that is going to actually follow through this principle to give us back life to our tech that they are otherwise abandoning. And so that's actually really good news. And on to now some really bad Linux news. Okay, I don't care what they're doing, but the logic is exactly why half of the Linux community is pissed off at these morons. All right. They're getting rid of the middle finger click to paste now, or the middle button click to paste. I'm going to give the middle finger this. Right? So if you didn't know, you can click the middle button on your mouse to paste. And they want to get rid of this, citing that some people accidentally hit that button without knowing what it does. Okay, fine. The problem is they're going back and doing a whole anti-X11 thing again. It's like, why in the hell are you morons so concerned with X11? This is Linux. We're supposed to have choice. Stop being retarded about everything. Okay, disable it because people accidentally hit the button and don't know what it does. Excellent. Give us means to turn it back on. Excellent. They're doing both of those things. That's all you need to say. Hey, we're getting rid of this. Too many people find it confusing. Many people don't know it's there. We're still giving you the documentation to turn it back on. Awesome. Fine. No problem. But it's when you have to introduce your stupidity into it and make you look like an idiot, that is where we have a problem. So, this is X11ism. Originally an X setting frequently results in unexpected behavior. Oh my. Goodbye, X11. This guy should not be working on Linux projects. He has mental concerns. He is so mad. Like, X11 lives rent-free in his head to the point he has to find everything that potentially could be X11-ish and get rid of it. And we end up with an operating system or a desktop environment like GNOME that does nothing. You have to add crap to GNOME to make it work. Independent people not working on GNOME have to build extra features to make GNOME work again. What is wrong with these people? Get them out of the Linux community. These people are nuts. Now, if you do still, if you use that feature, you know it's there. This code will re-enable that in any GNOME-based desktop setting. So, of course, this would apply to GNOME and Firefox, actually. And so, okay. On to some privacy news. Roblox now requires all users globally to complete age checks to access chat. Basically the community features. So following the wave of lawsuits and investigators over child safety, Roblox have implemented mandatory facial verification. And I wanted to include this because this is the slippery slope that will plunge the entirety of the internet into online facial scans, which, by the way, I want nothing to do with. If you want to, like, we looked at a list of different ways of trying to do age verification. If you want to age verify me with a credit card, fine. A bank account, maybe. A facial scan, go jump in a creek. All right. But they're doing this, of course, because they want to make sure everybody's there. They complete the age check process. Users have to open the Roblox app, allow access to their camera, and follow a series of on-screen instructions for facial verification. Of course, the verification is using a third party. Remember those leaky third parties that tend to leak data called Persona? They're saying Roblox and Persona delete images and videos after completing the process, just like the people at Discord did. Oh, wait. Did we say that? All right. All right, so the company says users who are 13 and older can also choose to verify their age through ID verification instead of verification. So I guess if you're 18, you might have that option to use that whole credit card feature. Who knows? So you don't have to verify your age to use Roblox, but you need it if you want to use any of the chat features. Then they have several different age categories: under 9, 9 to 12, 13 to 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, and 21 plus. So the way this works is you use the age verification and then you get put into your category, and then you can talk to anybody from an adjacent category. So if it marks you as 13 to 15, you can talk to anybody who's 9 to 17. According to their individual breakdown. So that's kind of what they're doing. They say the new age check requirements will provide a more accurate way to verify users' ages compared with simply having users enter their birth year when creating an account. And there is, what is that quote from Star Wars? And that's how democracy dies. That's how internet privacy dies. How wonderful. All right. This one here I want to cover because I do cover some Wegmans stores, but it caused me to think a little bit and speculate a little bit and then wonder, is this as big of a deal or not? I don't know. So Wegmans stores, if you're not familiar with Wegmans, it's a pretty good higher end grocery store chain based out of New York, and it services the Northeast area. And so Wegmans is storing shoppers' facial scans and biometric data to ID customers and boost security. We understand the concern. So, new signs unveiled at some Wegmans across New York are warning customers that personally identifiable biometric data such as facial recognition scans are being stored while they shop. Now, here's the thing. New York City has a law requiring any stores using biometric data to post signs. Other places don't have that. So the question is every Wegmans store doing this? Or are just the specific high-risk ones doing this? And we don't know exactly without getting involved in there. All right. Now, this kind of goes back. So signs say facial recognition is stored for safety despite the promise, the pilot's promise. So in 2024, they actually launched the pilot saying they would not be storing any of this data. So Wegmans collects, retains, converts, stores, or shares customer biometric identifier information, which may include facial recognition, eye scans, and voice prints. That's very 1984 of you. So the chain's data collection began during a 2024 pilot, which vowed that shoppers' data would not be saved. And Wegmans rep told the Post that the tech is only being used in a small fraction of our stores that exhibit an elevated risk. So this raises the concerns. Number one, is this truly only being used in those high-risk stores, or are they being used everywhere, but these stores they're labeling are just the ones that require them to say that they're doing this? Okay. And then I thought initially, well, I go to Wegmans sometimes, maybe I'll stop. I don't think that's reasonable because, yeah, I also shop at Walmart's because, frankly, I can buy eggs at any retail chain grocery store and pay $8.99 for a dozen eggs, or I can go to Walmart where they're $2 for a dozen eggs. Okay, Walmart's food is cheaper than anywhere else without messing with Shoppers Club cards or their weekly, constantly rotating sales. Legitimately, take it from a guy who's traveled in every state in this country, who's been to big stores and little stores and country stores and city stores. Walmart consistently has the lowest prices in groceries without working with wonky sales, with the exception of Aldi's, which is better. The problem is there's not nearly as many cities with Aldi's in it. So I go to Aldi's first choice. I usually do Walmart, second choice, simply because it's convenient and every grocery store is doing this crap. Okay, you think, oh, Wegmans so bad. What are you going to do? Go to an Albertsons branded store? They're the leaders in this nonsense. Okay, every grocery store is wicked and evil. Okay, every one of them, which is very sad. But every grocery store is wicked and evil. My question is my Wegmans back in State College, are they doing all this biometric stuff or not? They might be. I don't know. But that's generally why I don't bring my devices into there. I always wear a hat. I might start wearing, big night, old boomer sunglasses or something. But anyway, they say currently the only biometric data stored at Wegmans is facial recognition scans. But it raises a lot of questions and more stuff. But what do we do? The only thing we can possibly do is get laws passed to ban this technology. That is, at this point in time, the only thing that we can do. And then sue them into oblivion when they stop, when they don't stop. All right. Narwhal. This is one of those robotic vacuum cleaner systems. It adds AI to the vacuum cleaners to monitor pets, find jewelry, and, build a map of your house with its 1080p AI-enabled camera. Yeah. All right. So they're adding AI-powered features such as monitoring pets, finding valuable objects, and notifying users about misplaced toys. Features two 1080p RGB cameras with a 136-degree field of view to map out the area and recognize different kinds of objects using AI models. Okay, now, the device first tries to identify an object locally. In case there finds no matches, it sends the data to the cloud for further processing. So it will do that. That's probably more to save money for the company, not about privacy, because if it can do the AI the AI search locally, it's going to do a little bit better job. And then it'll find out where your pets lay and clean there more, or avoid the pet if he's there. And so it'll also find various things. So the AI floor tag mode, the vacuum recognizes valuable items like jewelry and avoids them and alerts you. And so, we now have these devices with all of these 1080p cameras roaming around your house, making maps, and of course, sending the data up. Now, I don't think it was this brand. I don't remember which brand it was, but one of these smart vacuums is always checking home, a server back in China. And the researcher that found this had this thing plugged in, and he identified some ports it was checking back home to. He blocked them all on his network. And then 30 days later, his vacuum stopped. And he's like, something must be wrong with my vacuum. And so he takes it back to the store, or they send it out, whatever. The company's like, thing's perfectly fine. Sends it back, it works fine for 30 days, and it stops working again. Well, it turns out that there's a kill toggle switch in there that after about 30 days of not being able to connect to its home server back in China, the thing would just shut itself off. So how much other data was going back to China? We just don't really know. So that's exciting. Here's another phishing campaign. This is one where scammers are using Google's free cloud applications to impersonate legitimate Google emails to phish for your Microsoft account. I stand by my statement. If anybody loses any money to one of these schemes utilizing like Google's or Microsoft's or Cloudflare's or anybody's freely available services, if anybody's using those, I think that those companies should make it 100% right, and that if they want to recoup their losses, they can go track down the scammer because they actually have the resources to do it. You think Google doesn't know who all these scammers are? Of course they do, but they're making money from it, so they don't really care. Okay. So in this case here, they were utilizing the Google Cloud applications, which would allow them to send emails officially from Google. So these are like literally officially Google messages, and then it would bounce off of another page, which would then impersonate a Microsoft login. And they observed nearly 9,400 emails targeting 3,200 customers over a 2-week period of time. Emails closely mimic Google's style, reference routine lures such as voicemail alerts, shared files. I'm wondering if I get some of these. I get a few things like this on, I can't remember if they're, I think they are email addresses I have that are not tied to anything Google. So definitely interesting. So be aware, you just remember, you can't trust anything anymore. Like, you become a zero trust person when it comes to your email. I mean, even emails you get from your friends, if they're even unusual, like, well, if I get an email from a friend with a random link, I don't trust that friend on that. Gotta confirm another way, you know. All right. Yeah. Microsoft's Nadella wants us to stop thinking of AI as slop, which of course has led to the this guy's Nadella's introduction to the Streisand effect, and now all around the world, it is now no longer called Microsoft; it's now called Microslop. So wonderful. So. Of course, Merriam-Webster named slop as the word of the year because that is absolutely what's coming out. Of course, all of these massive amounts of data centers consuming water, consuming power, all to produce absolute mindless, brainless, stupid AI slop that does nothing but enrich people in like Spain and India, I think, are the biggest places where people are making money at it right now. And all this crap is happening so that all of these big data centers can justify building more data centers and all sorts of other nonsense. But the thing is when you look at it, it's all slop. It's just utter nonsense. Even if it's decently presented and decent information, I still don't want to watch it if it's slop. If it's AI crap. He wants us to stop thinking of AI as slop and start thinking about bicycles for the mind. It can get us somewhere. Here's the thing, though, and I can't remember. I think it was Mental Outlaws video that talked about this. Maybe it was another one. I forget exactly who said it. But he said, when AI stops being slop, we'll stop calling it slop. Okay? You can't dress up what's going on. The actual reality of AI right now is it is mindless, brainless slop serving no other purpose than to generate clicks and make up a lot of money for people in foreign countries. That's got to stop. Because it's slop. I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. All right. So he continued, we need to get beyond the arguments of slop versus sophistication. I don't know if has this guy ever used AI? What do you guys think? Has he ever used AI? Has he ever realized how stupid AI is? This was a fun thing with my locally hosted models. It's like, I've got a new year. Of course, the big thing that everyone's looking for in new year is how to improve whatever else. So I go into my locally hosted AI, pull up a llama, and I tell it, hey, give me some strategies for getting ahead in 2026. The data for these models is 2020, so it thinks like 2026 is years away, and then proceeds to write me an amazing article pointing about the utopia 2026 is going to be. I'm just like, this is like in 1985, looking ahead in Back to the Future Part 2, thinking we're going to have flying cars in the future and 3D Jaws and hoverboards, and what actually happened in 2015, a bunch of morons are running around sheer stupidity. But that's how the AI was thinking. It's thinking, well, it's something like 2020. Think of the amazing innovations we're going to have by 2026. because AI is slop. So I had to dump all those articles and rewrite them saying, hey, give me some tips and strategies for this topic for a brand new year. Okay, I had to be more generic, and therefore I got a more generic article. Okay, whatever. So there you have it, right? Because AI is slop. All that long story to say AI is slop. You may see he's not only urging everyone to stop thinking of AI-generated content as slop, he also wants the tech industry to stop talking about AI as a replacement for humans. Even though that's kind of what we're seeing happening all over the place. Lots of AI is replacing lots of humans. Much of AI agent marketing uses the idea of replacing human labor as a way to price it and justify its expense. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to look at this in here. This was here. The approximately 100 occupations most exposed to AI automation are actually outperforming the rest of the labor market in terms of job growth and real wage increases. That's what he said. So that's the report found. The problem is the Vanguard report concludes that those who are mastering AI are making themselves more valuable and not replaceable. So what happens is there are actually fewer people. And the reason you come to the conclusion that these 100 occupations, the reason they're actually outperforming the rest of the labor market is because they are no longer offering jobs in those areas. Sometimes when you read these reports, you got to read between the lines. So I looked at the Vanguard report and I read through the Vanguard report. And the problem is they're measuring unemployment. Well, the unemployment in this area. Unemployment is a measure of how many people are looking for jobs in that area. If there aren't jobs to be looking for, you can't look for them, can you? I can't find the Pikachu around the corner if the Pikachu's not around the corner. Right? That's why those jobs are saying they're outperforming. But what happens is fewer people are in those jobs, and those fewer people are those that are mastering AI, not those utilizing AI for slop and not those rejecting it altogether. That is a sad statement. And that's why for me, I would prefer that we don't have AI, but it's upon us. And so it's our imperative to learn how to use it properly and to master it. Otherwise, we're going to be mastered by it. So you can either learn how Skynet works, or you can be destroyed by it. Those are kind of your options. You don't have a whole lot. But the irony of Microsoft's own actions last year helped give rise to the AI is coming for our jobs narrative. The company laid off 15,000 people in 2025, even recorded revenues and profits, record revenues and profits. So they made more money by laying off more people and turning more stuff over to AI. So Nadella is mad at the world saying AI is coming for our jobs. Meanwhile, AI is actually coming for our jobs. Kind of crazy. They weren't alone in laying off workers while pursuing AI. Responsible for 55,000 layoffs in U.S. in 2025, according to research from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. Wow, I didn't know they did an article. I don't know. Didn't know Christmas was involved in doing that study, but anyway, I guess it was. So there you have it. All right, and California lawmaker proposes a 4-year ban on AI chatbots and kids' toys. Last week, we talked about the Trump executive order on AI. I do not think that this state law would be brandished. To provide an example, all the state law says is, hey, we shouldn't have AI in children's toys for 4 years. Now, I think we shouldn't have AI in children's toys ever. But I'll start with 4 years. That's fine. We can pass this one for 4 years and then carry it on. All right. So they're, of course, citing a lot of things going on. They want to place a 4-year ban on the sale and manufacture of toys. In fact, this completely follows Trump's executive order because it's seeking to have a limitation. It's seeking to figure out ways to have safeguards. It's seeking to protect children. It completely satisfies the December 12th executive order. So for all the people like, deregulation. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Watch that video. We actually read the entirety of the thing. Well, at least we read the vast majority of the thing. This law would not violate that executive order. And I agree. I think this is a good law, although I don't think it goes far enough. It says our safety regulation of this kind of technology are in their infancy, and we will need to grow as exponentially as the capabilities of this technology do. Pausing the sale of these chatbot integrated toys allows us time to craft the appropriate safety guidelines and framework for these toys to follow. Legislation also follows several concerning incidents involving AI, chatbots, children, and adult content. Oh dear. So that's kind of what the gist of the bill is, a 4-year ban on AI. And I think that's actually a good thing. I said, I don't think it goes far enough. Here we go. And some Hyundai workers get a glimpse of the future, courtesy of Boston Dynamics. So there's actually a number of different video clips in here. This is like a 2-minute video clip. Effectively, this is the new Atlas robot. Let me jump in. I'm going to mute it there, though. So basically, they have the Boston Dynamics new version of Atlas. They're utilizing Google's DeepMind AI. I think it's the DeepMind. Is that the one from Google? They're utilizing that for the software, and then they are training these to do individual tasks. And the tasks they're doing are, of course, those very human-like tasks that humans would otherwise have been doing. So there you have. You have all these guys in the background are watching this robot do their job. And they're like, oh, boy, I got to polish up that resume now. So, yeah, now the robots are coming. Now, Hyundai is known for having automation. They have a balance of machines and employees in there. So now, though, they're introducing these humanoid robots. You look at it going, wait. You're telling me that one of these robots costs the amount to keep an employee on for 1 year, and it doesn't have to take breaks? Well, maybe take a break to charge. But I can have some of these guys, and they won't complain. They won't ask for raises. They won't ask for time off. Maybe it's about time to replace a few employees. So there you go. If you're in this type of manual automation job that you're thinking traditionally has been a human type job, yeah, these robots are being trained to take your human jobs. So, hey, Nadella, can you clarify what you were talking about there with your when you stop thinking about it. This is robotics, but it's also AI, because it's the software that makes it run is AI, and the hardware, of course, is robotics. So there you go. There's the employees being like, oh dear, the robot's doing our jobs for us, guys. We need to have a revolution, otherwise this is going to be our future. Right here's our future. And so, then we got a bunch of other stuff over here. Let's see. Let's read some of the comments. And they always find some good tweets on these. So now the robots are running the factories, and we just chill. Yeah. Our leaders are ushering an inescapable hell that will be assuredly lead to the degradation of the human race. Largest proponents of these technologies are the largest donors to the political parties. Within years, mass job loss is a certainty. When they said manufacturing was coming back to the U.S., this is what they had in mind. All right. Yeah. So, and I want to make a comment on this as well, because there's this discussion about what happens when this occurs. We're talking about basic UBI. Of course, some of the more idyllic people here are sitting up going, well, you know what? This is going to be so great because we can just make everything and we can just sit back and relax. Here's the fundamental problem. Our world, just our country, we throw away billions of dollars of perfectly good food. The government forces the dairy industry to dump tons of milk to stabilize prices. They could allow the milk prices to go way. A gallon of milk could be 50 cents. But they don't want it 50 cents, so they force farmers to dump milk. It's true. You can look it up. All right. The second factor is all of these companies that own all these machines that are making all these Twinkies want to sell the Twinkies. They're not going to create all of this food to give it to you for free. They're not going to create all these products to give to you for free. Where's all this money going to come from? I know we have the capability of feeding everybody on this planet 5 times over. But the problem is the people holding on to all that food would really like paid for it. This does not solve the problem. The problem is not that we need more efficient ways to make food to feed everybody. The problem is deeper than that, because there's sociological problems that people need to be able to buy the food. And if all of the people can't work anymore because the machines are making all the food, no one has a job to buy the food. I know this is a reality. I am out here in the desert. I have talked to, just in the last month, I have talked to a dozen people that want to live in houses and they can't because they are unaffordable. So they're living in their cars in the desert. They collect Social Security. Social Security doesn't pay rent. I talked to a guy living in the desert. He was living in a tent in the desert. He's desperately looking for a place that he can live. He has full VA benefits, full military stipend, full Social Security. He still can't afford rent. He doesn't want to live in the desert. I'm in this van by choice. He's in the desert because he has to be. I talked to a gentleman. It's not all just, I did talk to a guy who ruined his life with drugs and alcohol. And he's like, yeah, this is kind of the life I made for myself with my stupidity. And praise the Lord, he's 16 years sober now, but he still has to live in a van because it just wrecked his body, wrecked his finances, wrecked everything. But I talked to another guy who was he was a retired engineer with a full pension, looking for places to live, can't afford anything. We got problems, and the automation is intensifying those problems, not making them better. So we need a solution to something in our world. Robotics taking over all of our jobs is not the solution. And of course, now NVIDIA wants to team up with Caterpillar to bring AI to construction equipment. All right. Well, that's interesting. So this had to do a lot with when these construction equipments are out there building, running building projects, digging holes, running building stuff. What they're doing is they're collecting a bunch of data and sending it back. So the idea here is that the AI will be able to better create simulations of projects, build test scenarios, and then do a better job of calculating building project materials. So I'm not sure if this puts anybody out of a job. I'm guessing it might lead to more efficient projections for how much similar projects are. And this is something I've done for a long time in web design. I actually have a logbook of types of projects I do and exactly how many hours. So now when I get a new request for a new site, I look through that logbook and see what other sites have I built like that. And I have a real world example as to exactly. Now, what if I fed all that data into an AI? It might be able to spit the number out faster than me flipping through pages. That's probably effectively what they're doing. So I don't know. It's an interesting approach, but it's weird to think of NVIDIA teaming up with Caterpillar. Of course, this also means now we'll have a lot more expensive construction equipment, and this could only mean prices for construction projects will go up. So if you were looking for affordable home prices, this probably puts a damper in that plan. But don't worry, we might have 50-year mortgages. Just don't really want to be a serf, I'm a serf to Chase Manhattan Bank. Wonderful. So we'll jump on over to Sillyville next. And first up in Sillyville, we have smart Lego bricks introducing a new way to build. All right, so these ones here, it just seemed to me like a little bit more like just bricks that are more sensory to what's going on in the environment. So the theory they had here is like if you have a helicopter and you're spinning around the propeller, then it will detect how fast it's going and make propeller sounds, compatible with the speed. So I think that's probably the situation, what was going on there. So there's actually what Lego's up to. So if you Lego fanatics out there, you might have some good things. So they say Luke's Red 5 X-Wing building retailing at $70. There's a Throne Room Dual and A-Wing set, $159. Those ones are smart play systems to animate things. So there's a little bit about what Lego's doing. Okay, that's interesting. And now we have the robots are actually out to get us. A food delivery robot takes out a motorcycle in LA. So now, granted, the robot should be able to look for stuff like this, but the motorcyclist was parked on the sidewalk, which he shouldn't be. But here comes our cute little delivery robot. It's coming up. It sees the motorcycle. And it says, "Get out of my way, you punk. I'm out of here. I'm coming for you." All right. So there you have it. Obviously, the motorcycle should not be parked on the sidewalk, but you'd think that this smart automated device would know not to try and pass in a situation like this, because what if that was a person in a wheelchair? Is this thing going to assault the poor disabled person, knock him out of the wheelchair because it's got to get that food delivered in under 30 minutes or your pizza's free? I mean, I don't know what's going on here. But at the same time, the robots are out for us. So, yeah, people are saying, yeah, you shouldn't be parking your motorcycle on the sidewalk. But if it treats a motorcycle like that, is it going to be functional for everything else? I don't know. And on our final Sillyville news, AI-generated police report says officer turned into a frog. Trust the AI, folks. It's going to save the universe. These are those stories that makes me think that Skynet will probably not kill us. It's just too stupid. Like when the Terminator comes for you, say, "Hey, Terminator, you can't assault me until you find us. You have to stand in the corner of a round room first." And then you'll put it into like a silo, and it'll just run around in a circle perpetually looking for the corner, right? So the Heber City Police Department was testing the Draft 1. So I think we talked about these when they first came out. So you have a body cam, of course. All police are carrying these body cams now, which is an awesome thing because just first we have the number of body cam videos coming out is just glorious. And then all these people that were like these people on the one political side, they're like, these racist police officers just shooting everybody. Now we get to see what they actually put up with and find out that, yeah, nearly every single time they pull that gun out, it's justified. And they don't like it now. They still don't like it. They just can't create a false narrative now. We got too much evidence on it. All right. But now they're integrating AI into these so that the AI will basically create the paperwork. Now, this is actually decent because otherwise a police officer has to sit here and just do a ton of paperwork on every single call they do. And the more complicated, the crazier it gets. And so with this, they're saying that let's let the AI do the basic police report. And then assuming that the police officer reviews the report properly, it should be fine. The problem is this police body camera determined that the police officer turned into a frog. And how did that actually happen? Well, it happened because the body cam software picked up on a movie that was playing in the background, which happened to be The Princess and the Frog. So the Sergeant Keel told KTSU, that's when we learned the importance of correcting these AI-generated reports. Despite the error, he told the technology had saved him 6 to 8 hours to work. The department also began testing another AI system, Code 4, which generates similar police reports from body cam footage in order to reduce the paperwork and keep police officers in the field. So this is actually, I think, what it said. They began testing the Draft 1, which automatically generates a police report. The goal is to reduce paperwork, but the software misinterpreted background audio, requiring the department to correct the report and explain what happens. So I thought it had a better explanation of the actual report it said. It literally said that the police officer simply transformed into a frog. Maybe I saw a different article on this. Let's see. Plan to continue the AI tools. Spend their AI. Let's see. Yeah, it must have been a different report I saw, but the actual report said the police officer approached the subject and then transmutated into a frog. It was quite excellent stuff. If you want to help support the channel, I do have a science fiction novel, Synaptology. If you are unaware of Synaptology, you can find the page here on tlm.li/s. for Synaptology, and this is available to buy in audiobook, ebook, and print book, and anywhere you buy books online. You can have a look at Synaptology for a family-friendly AI, a family-friendly technology-based novel. So there is our Sillyville and our Quick Lines stories.